The next issue that we saw in the debate was when Chris Wallace asks a specific question about whether or not they can trust, who can trust the voters, or who can the voters trust over the next 4 years. And Joe Biden goes into this, his 2 minutes, and he's talking about equity and equality and decency and all of these things. Then he brings up this thing that has been just irritating me for about the last several years, actually. It's what is known as the Fine People Hoax. If you Google that, you're going to find a lot of information about this. The Fine People Hoax is it's essentially a hoax. There was this issue that took place in Charlottesville. Donald Trump was making some commentary about that. This was several years ago, and he made this statement about people who were on both sides of the pulling the Confederate statutes down argument. He was saying that there were very fine people on both sides, and so the media and Joe Biden and a lot of other people were bringing up this idea that that Donald Trump was talking specifically about these neo-Nazis and calling them very fine people. And so when I originally first heard about this, I was like, did he endorse neo-Nazis? Donald Trump actually endorsed neo-Nazis? Like, that's insane. That's a huge problem. So I went back, and when this originally came out, I read the transcript, and he's talking about fine people on both sides having a polite debate. Well, we have the transcript here. I'll show it to you here in a minute. But I've been following this along, and I see it pop up all the time. The media likes to talk about it. It's just very fine people. And Joe Biden specifically brought it up in this debate. And I take a lot of issue with that because one of two things is happening. One, he knows that this is a hoax. He's read the transcript and he knows that that is not what Donald Trump said. And he's repeating this lie, which in my mind would make him a liar because it's just a totally falsified, inaccurate statement. It's been proven wrong. There are transcripts and videos of it, and he repeats it all the time. So he's either flat out lying about it, or he's just incompetent and nobody on his team has told him, hey, this is not actually the truth. But you can make up your mind. Yes, we know politicians lie. The reason I have an issue with this one so badly is because this is sort of the issue that is really rallying people to call Donald Trump a racist. And, he wants, dead black people and Hispanic people, and he wants to kill people. And we see a lot of this from the left as we go through a lot of these issues. The Breonna Taylor case, the Ahmaud Arbery case, the Daniel Prude case, Rayshard Brooks. Anytime that there is a white cop who kills a black person, they say to some extent, there's indications, there's threads that run through these different media and the different stories that I read, that Donald Trump is somehow the figurehead of this white supremacist movement that is going around and killing black people. And I haven't seen any evidence of it, starting with the Fine People Hoax transcript. I have the transcript. We're going to get through it. But here right now is the clip from the debate last night where Joe Biden is specifically saying the Fine People Hoax. And so he brings it up. It's his own words.
My question for the two of you is, why should voters trust you rather than your opponent to deal with the race issues facing this country over the next 4 years? Vice President Biden, you go first.
It's about equity and equality. It's about decency. It's about the Constitution. And we have never walked away from trying to require equity for everyone, equality for the whole of America. But we've never accomplished it. But we've never walked away from it like he has done. It is true. The reason I got in the race is when those people, close your eyes, remember what those people look like coming out of the fields carrying torches, their veins bulging, just spewing anti-Semitic bile, and accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. A young woman got killed. And they asked the president what he thought. He said there were very fine people on both sides. No president has ever said anything like that.
Yeah, because he didn't. Yeah, and Donald Trump, you can hear him chiming in saying, well, he didn't finish the rest of the paragraph. He didn't finish the sentence. And that's exactly right. I mean, we have the transcript right here. I want to run you through it. And this was taken back from this interaction where Donald Trump was actually literally like duking it out with these reporters, and there's people on both sides talking about George Washington and Robert E. Lee and these different statutes coming down. And so when we go to the transcript, you'll see here that Donald Trump, he's getting into it. Excuse me, inaudible themselves, inaudible. And you have some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. And this is what they take out of context. He said, you had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statute and renaming it a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. And so we see a lot of this, right? All over the country, they're taking down more statutes. This happened back in, I think it was 2017 when this was taking place in Charlottesville. And very heated discussion on these things, right? I don't have a particular vested interest in these statutes. I don't care too much about the statutes. If they don't want them up and they want to take them down, it's fine. You know, I understand both sides of the argument, but it's not a make or break thing for me. I'm a proponent of history, but if there's a statute that offends half the country, okay, take it down. I can live with that. Don't really have too much interest there. So they're going through, they're duking this out. This initial paragraph gets taken out of context multiple times. And then we go to the next paragraph where Trump is still speaking, and he actually sort of puts some meat on the bones of what he just said. So he goes on and he says, how about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of him? You like him? Crosstalk again. Okay, good. Are we going to take down the statute, he says, because he was a major slave owner. Now, are we going to take down his statute? So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about neo-Nazis and the white nationalists because they should be condemned totally. But you had people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them coming out with black outfits and with helmets and with baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group. And so he's not talking about the neo-Nazis or the white supremacists. He's talking about the other side that also have an argument that say, hey, this is part of our culture. This is part of our history. We want to keep the good stuff up and the bad stuff up. And, we support not renaming our schools and, sort of whitewashing the history that we grew up in. There's a valid argument there. This is part of our culture. It's part of our history. And he was talking about having those people a part of that conversation. He was talking about the people who wanted the statutes down and the people who wanted the statutes up, not about the neo-Nazis or the white supremacists. And so Joe Biden in his prior clip specifically said that I am, the reason why I'm running for president is because of what this president said about these fine people, but it's just not accurate. You can make other claims, you can make other, commentary about whether Donald Trump is a racist or not, but if you read the text of what he said, it's not accurate. It's unfair. And if Donald Trump had been out there last night making up these hoaxes about Joe Biden, I would be the first one to call them out as well. There's a lot of stuff that he said about Hunter Biden. There's a lot of stuff, about these Russian Moscow, dealings and all of that. I don't know what's going on with that because it's a news story right now. But if that's a hoax, happy to call that out. Happy to dive into those things and discuss it. But it's not something that is particularly relevant to what we're doing here on this channel because it's not about criminal justice reform. It's about him being charged with crimes, still under investigation. And if that turns out to be a hoax, I'll be the first one to come out here and say that was a political Republican hit job hoax. But we just haven't seen any evidence of that yet because it is ongoing. This one is clearly a hoax. This one was clearly brought up in front of a national stage, and he's doing it in order to, to make that whistle go off to indicate to people that Donald Trump is a racist. And it's just not true. It's unfortunate, right? I understand that this is a political commentary, political debate, and these guys are at each other's throats, but I would love to see a little bit more honesty from both sides.